What's up, guys? It's James back again, and if you paid attention to the events of this weekend, you would already know that there was a big RBET tournament hosted by Keegan and E3 Yugioh. I think they got 170, 180 participants, which is awesome for a big online tournament. And it was won by no other than my teammate and friend, Phil, who is a great German player who has topped a bunch of events at this point. And I personally think he's just one of the best Blackwing players there is. So I was able to link up with him and do this video just discussing his deck choices and a couple of the replays that he played against during the tournament. So without further ado, I'm going to cut to Phil and enjoy. All right, so we're here with Phil, who is the newest RBET champion and also, you know, fellow Bongo Boys member. Gotta, of course, include that. But I'm super happy that he did so well in this tournament. And first things first, congrats. And also tell people a little bit about yourself, because I feel like you're kind of a sleeper killer. You've been having a great Edison World League season, and you've topped a bunch of these events, but this is your first win, correct?
Yeah, thank you so much for the love. I'm kind of like an underdog from Germany, like coming from a little city and just got back into Yu-Gi-Oh after the Corona scene. And yeah, started playing online Edison because I played it back in the day too. So I had a lot of fun there. Just tried to improve.
Awesome.
And
And
now,
you did good at the Joshua Schmidt tournament too, right?
again, sorry.
Sorry, you did good at the Joshua Schmidt tournament too, right? Wasn't that? I feel like that was like a big
First
accomplishment.
Edison tournament since the revive.
Awesome.
And top 4 there with Chris Yasuo.
Cool. And a number of other top eights, right? Like, give us some
Like,
stats if you can.
I'm not too sure, like I top 4 the deck devastation events and like top 8 and 16, like a lot of other tournaments, like 8 or so. Not
Awesome.
too sure.
Yeah, definitely a name you should know. And I know that you have a strong preference for Blackwing, and but I also know that you've used a lot of hybrid Blackwing. So I'm also just curious, as a first thing, you know, we got your deck list up on the screen, but what made you decide on standard and not hybrid for this one?
Hybrid is my favorite deck, and this is also what I played back in the days in Edison. So I tried to make it good, but I gave up this War League season and tried to play Blackwing, and it worked so good. Like I have a crazy win streak right now in both leagues. So I try to play the same deck when it works so good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, why change it up? I think what is also interesting here, you know, there's only so many flex slots in Blackwings, as I think everybody knows, but you've kind of chosen to go with like Dust Tornado and the 3 Legacy, and maybe the TT, you could say. But so, I mean, as opposed to things like more Compulse or main decking the Starlight Road or main deck Oppression, you know, what made you go with those little picks, the Legacies especially?
Yeah, the Legacy, I like the draw power and Blackwings and to see the good cards. Also, it's pretty nice to have multiple back row set, like to be a little insured against Dust Tornadoes and stuff. And also, versus like the Raikou decks, you set your back rows and prepare your push, like do they hit your Dust Tornado and your Yada.
Yeah, you can bait a storm early, and even back on the first video I think I did on this channel, like talking about how if you have a Legacy set, they're always super worried about Icarus. I think that's really an underrated part of it. I noticed you also like battle phase, use the Legacy, try to draw into Kalu. I saw you do that a couple times too.
Yeah. So
And
I could decide if I want to prison or Kalut.
yeah, exactly. And the side too, you know, the first thing I said, or when you sent me your list, you know, I think you're not siding a lot of the more common, like, I don't know, anti-meta like tech picks nowadays, like Compulse or Nobleman. You know, these are cards that I think people kind of think of them as staples in the Blackwing side because they deal with Value Turbo, which is, you know, probably the most popular / best deck. But you're not including any of those, so I was curious about your thought process there too.
I don't think it's very needed versus value. Like you have your bottomless, your your prisons, your dust tornadoes, and you can beat their monsters with your monsters.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I feel like I've been preaching that for a while. I don't necessarily think you have a problem playing into Raikos necessarily, especially if you're smart about it, and you definitely have a lot of experience doing that. So, is there anything in this deck that I guess both sides of you think really overperformed, or also that you would change? Is there any thoughts you have after the tournament?
Overperformed in this deck were this tournament Darkhound and Whirlwind. I enjoyed them a lot.
Hell
They
yeah.
decided a lot of games, and yeah.
Well, the legacies probably also help you some, so you know that gives you some edge.
Yeah, Legacy was pretty nice to draw and get the drop out.
Sure. But other than that, no other changes. Also, the soul release that kind of sticks out. I feel like that's not often a card in the Blackwing side.
Yeah, because Amaryllis is so prevalent right
True.
now. It won like the Ultimate Time Wizard format. And there's also a reason why I have Torrential in the main deck because of the frogs and Amaryllis Wave.
Right. Yeah, I think those slight adjustments, like you know, people can easily load up the same deck tournament to tournament because it is a static meta, static format. But like making those slight adjustments, I think definitely gives you an edge. Even the Dust Tornado is like pretty good against Amaryllis too, right?
Yeah, I brought 1 or 2 in definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, and also you went undefeated. I mean, I think that deserves to be mentioned as well, right? Like, so what is that?
Yeah.
8-0, 9-0 or
That's
something?
pretty good.
How many matches?
It was 8 matches, 8-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, it is a fairly standard list, as I'm sure you'll agree. But I think the tech picks did make a difference, and you know, clearly geared a little bit towards value as well, like Mirror not maining the oppression. I think all that probably seemed like a good fit for this stage in the Edison metagame.
It's also interesting that I'm not siding Diddy Crow.
Oh, true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. What's your logic there?
Yeah, I thought like it's better. It's not really great to rely on a card which is early game dead, and
Sure.
you kind of rely on them having setup to make it live. And with Blackwing, you have this early fast game where you, if you have the right cards, you just win in the first 3 turns, and you don't need the dead crow there.
Yeah, I think like overloading on disruption probably isn't worth it. But I'm gonna switch
I
over.
don't like Diddy
Okay.
Crow versus Yugioh really, and as
Right.
Blackwing player.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. As Blackwings, I think it can be a little bit of a liability. I'm gonna switch over real quick to a couple of these matches that we selected. You know, I had asked you to think about if there were any interesting matches in this tournament. You know, interesting interactions or you thought were played well, and you sent me a couple, both this one versus Best Yu-Gi-Oh Player NA. Shout out to him. But we're gonna go through it real quick, and you know, I think it's very useful to go through these replays as we do in our server and in a voice call or whatever. So this is kind of just an average day for us, but for other people, I think might be very useful. So he wins the role here, and also just what do you think of going into this match? Because maybe that's something that people don't really realize either. Like you've probably had a chance to watch a few of his matches. You've probably played against this guy before. Like, what is your thought process? You know his list more or less. Like, how are you approaching this?
Yeah, I know his list. He like top previous tournaments before, and he didn't change his list, so I was pretty sure what's coming. And I'm quite scared of him. He's a pretty good player and can just beat everyone. So I don't know. I hope to draw good
Okay.
and like do decent
Yeah, you did pretty good.
here also.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I think his deck almost like, as much as you can say like, oh, like it feels like he never bricks, because I kind of feel that way too. But I think, you know, he's just like built a deck with such good like combinations of bombs and boss monsters that like you're always going to see some of them. Like if you're not seeing the Greffer Mally Diva like type gas hands, you're seeing like Dust Shoot. You know, it's like that's kind of how I think these decks function too.
Like you can also see how he's turboing through his deck. Like he's on 31 cards in deck already.
Right.
Like he just sees his good cards pretty.
Totally. Yeah, I mean the Future Fusion opening is definitely very strong. So you're looking at this hand here, and you know, without even, I guess we can see how you decide to play it out. But yeah, you want to get the plus off the Blackwing monster because you know you're probably going to be forced to use this Icarus to deal with the Future Fusion, or that's kind of your goal, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just Ekfin here to see cards.
Yeah, and like, you know, there's not really, it's not like you're going to run into a bottomless here, so you're very likely going to get to keep the Gale out of this interaction. So you attack here, you probably figure this is a Pyramid Turtle, or maybe a Goblin, I guess?
Yeah, I was 100% sure there's a Pyramid Turtle or a Goblin Zombie, and I don't want him to have a Goblin Zombie in play.
So that's just like very much like a kind of like, I don't know, a logical exchange. It's like, it's not negative for you to hit the Pyramid, but it's positive for you to hit the Goblin, so it makes a lot of sense to attack.
I think it was like a perfect draw here. Like, also a Spirit Reaper outside for free.
Sure. And then you set all, which I think makes sense, like kind of buffering end phase MST. And he decides to crash, and do you have a response to this? Do you Icarus here, I'm imagining?
Yeah, because I don't want him to get Mitsuki.
Yeah.
Get him value.
Even if he were to like solemn this, well, you have a solemn back, but whether or not you use that, like he's not getting the crash. So I think that makes a lot of sense. He does this, like he's kind of checking for oppression, right? But he has the MST. So you just have
I mean, he could also know I'm Legacy, so maybe he just...
Right, I just mean like he's prepared for it if you did have it. So you saw him here. I mean, I think that makes sense. It also kind of like forces the Diva to stay up and you can attack over it easily. Does put you low, but doesn't really matter with the setup you have. Allure's a very good draw.
Yeah. This is where the Whirlwind Comet
right.
Touch.
Yeah, and Legacy also finds you a big, which is helpful. Do you lead on Sirocco here, I'm imagining?
Yeah, because it's only live if the opponent has a monster in play, so...
Sure. And his Stardust gone too, so it's like, you can't really make this, like, your Icarus is probably going to get value next turn, regardless. Now, he adds the Dark Arm tier, and you were saying to me a second ago, you think maybe something else could have been searched. I mean, his Dark Arm's dead, which is a little bit unfortunate for him, but, yeah, I mean, could have definitely been a different search target, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know what else. Like, he has Heavy Storm as option, probably, Brain Control, I don't know.
Sure, or not, maybe another Miracle, since he did open with the Future Fusion, but...
I mean, Heavy Storm would have owned.
Yeah, because you were forced to use the Solemn. And so he hits you for 3 here, and you're in a pretty bad... They're like, you're not in a bad spot, but you're low, at least. But I think, you know, this just kind of speaks to the strength of Blackwings and Black Whirlwind, where you're low life, but you have a pretty easy comeback play here, where, like, you know his card in hand is Dark Arm, you know you're going to be able to out zero and at least stabilize, and then you have kind of, like, a lot better standalone draws than him.
Yeah. I just have my play for next turn. This is pretty huge in this top deck situation.
Yeah, and I
like
mean... Go ahead.
If he whiffs on one draw, I just snowball the game away.
Yeah, and he does decide to go for the pop. I mean, he probably doesn't really even have more good search targets left, but gets punished by the TT. And then, yeah, you're able to just kind of snowball here. It's kind of just wraps from here. He does draws Kaius, and yeah, you were saying this is a nice little setup here where you bounce the Kalute, just plays around Gores a little better, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and that's game.
Actually, no.
So that was good. And now he's got this Consecrate, and we talked a little bit before, but like, you know, how are you? You said this is the only time someone consecrated you in the entire tournament, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely some luck involved in winning a tournament like that. But I mean, in general, like, you weren't siding a lot of dedicated consecrated outs other than maybe like DDB. Like, I know a lot of Blackwing players are really worried about that card and side GD War Lady, Cyber Dragon, all this stuff. Like, what's your reasoning there?
Like, I mean, I know he's on one consecrated inside. I thought it's not really efficient to bring in like extra outs like Cyber Dragon. I don't like Dyna versus zombies, and
Right.
it's also rare he draws the unsearchable one off.
Sure.
I don't know if he's Sangan, but probably not.
I don't think so, yeah.
And
Yeah.
my deck can. It was a funny misclick actually.
Oh.
Glad it was face down and not.
Yeah. But yeah, Dust Shoot kind of really like, it could have gotten tough here, you know, like.
I don't have Dust Shoot, I straight up lose. So
Yeah.
I needed to set oppression actually. If he goes Stardust Consecrate, I'm fine.
Right. But yeah, getting the Diva out of there, make sure that you catch the Mizuki, and then it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a downside of him siding the Consecrated, but it does turn off his Grepher. Like, in theory, he would be able to piece some stuff together, but you took away his only non-dark options, so.
Yeah, but he is a big combo deck and can just blow me out.
Totally. But yeah, this is, you know, just shows your knowledge of the deck. I mean, nothing too crazy, people should know, but you can still flip the dark monsters under Consecrated, and in this case, it lets you still synchro with them for a non-dark monster that can run over the Consecrated. And you're saying you thought he tried to trick you a little bit, he tried to give you the Consecrated?
Yeah, nice
you don't
try
fall for it.
But I can't risk it.
Yeah, you can't afford to take it. He searches Diva because it makes sense he has the control spells, not able to convert them. This is a really good draw because it also makes your Dark Realm live. And you know, you explained to me a little bit beforehand like why you went for this, but can you say it again? Because I think this is actually pretty smart. You know, I think people would look at this and say, oh, like you don't have 8k damage, like why go for this big of a push? But you know most of his hand, and you have the oppression set. So what made you so comfortable here?
Yeah, because I just know what his options are with his hand, and even if he draws like one of the best draws he could have, like which is a dark, he won't be able to break my board completely.
Totally.
And he has to navigate it perfectly to be in an equal position.
Right. So
like at front of Brain, Grepher he can crash. Mind Control he has no darks in grave.
Right. And you don't know the Prohibition, right? That's the unknown card.
No Prohibition. It's
right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so like you were saying, I mean, I think that's just like speaks to, you know, the ability to think ahead, where it's like, you know you're turning off the brain, but you're thinking even if he draws the dark, just to kind of like elaborate on what you said, because I think, you know, you said it very shorthand, is like you pitch, like if he draws the dark, he Grepher pitches the dark, and then he can Mindcon take the Dark Armed. But even if he does send play, which like spoilers he does, like he's still kind of checkmated because he can't really he doesn't have enough pops with Dark Arm to clear itself and clear all your guys. So you're probably just going to be able to beat over whatever he makes next turn, and you have the Sirocco as well.
And he has to commit the Grepher on the board, which is also a liability with 700. Like he has to.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he has. So he is to force to use one dark.
Yeah, forced to use the Plague, and he decides to take, which I think makes sense because it's like he kind of has to. Otherwise, he's just dead to any monster. But in this case, he's dead to a Sirocco, which is fair. So quick 2-0 on best Yu-Gi-Oh player NA. He fought valiantly, but you did Blackwing things, Whirlwind Dark Armed.
Yeah, I felt like this could have gone either way.
True. So I'm gonna move on to the finals now. What's up, guys? So this video is running a little bit long with Phil, so I decided that I'm gonna have the finals in part 2 of this video, where we can really focus in on that and discuss the plays that went on there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one and enjoyed hearing from Phil about his deck, and stay tuned. I'll be posting that finals replay analysis in the next couple days. Thanks, guys. Peace.